Hello everyone, welcome to Spine Analytics. This is equal to the previous video and it's continuation of how to implement the same in R, that is how to identify gap detection in claims data. And this in this particular session we'll be looking at SQL. In claims data, a small mistake in detecting the enrollment gaps can completely change the results. And we will see how to correctly detect enrollment gaps using SQL, the way it's actually done in healthcare, data analytics, and organizations. Before we move on to the code, if you want a clear conceptual understanding of enrollment gaps and continuous enrollment, please check out the video link shared in the description and also pinned in the comment section. It is explained step by step in that particular video. All the conceptual aspect, including the data set and the columns, what it means are explained there, and it's very important to understand that, especially for interview, because from an interview perspective, data set contains these columns: patient ID, eligibility effective date, eligibility end date. Eligibility effective is the start date of the insurance, eligibility end date is the end of the insurance. So we have taken an example of one patient where the insurance start date is this one and it ends at this particular point, and the next one starts here. So basically we are saying if there is any gap between the previous insurance end and the next insurance start date. For the first record, it's always null because the patient doesn't have a previous first record for that patient. So enrollment and then the next record. So there is no previous record. That's why it's null. Previous record is lag. Actually, basically you're taking the lag of this value. Since there is nothing, it's null. But for this particular row, coming to this row, we are taking this value. That's a previous one. And we are saying if there is a gap between this and this. And this row is a lag of this column. And make sure we are doing always checking within the same patient ID. You never take the previous record blindly if it is some other patient. So it is ordered properly and then only we take the previous record. And here it's a gap is 1 because the patient's insurance ended in 31st of January 2023. And again, the new policy started in March, 3 months March. So there was a gap. That's why it's called 1. Now let's start the implementation side with SQL. So with ENR, I'm creating a new data set as this common table expression. Select star from dataset name is raw underscore claims dot the dataset name is showing up here. And I will, instead of taking star, I can also actually take a couple of records that I need, which is pat ID. So I'll just copy paste from here, pat ID. And the next one is eligibility effective date. It's same as eligibility start date. And the next one is eligibility end date. So these are the 3 columns that I need. There are more columns in the data, but we'll just keep to this to make it easy to understand. And next we want to create the lag. So lag of eligibility end date and over, it's called a window function, partition by patient ID, order by eligibility effective date as previous. That's the column name we use for all the videos. When we did with R, we did with Python. So we'll just keep the same column name. It's easy to relate and compare if you want to compare these programming languages. And yes, you can always check out the other videos that where we did with R or Python. So this is why are we using partition by year? Because patient by partition by patient ID, because it's same as in R or Python we did group by patient ID to ensure that we are always taking within the same patient ID, the previous record within the same patient ID. And why are we using order by? Because we want to make sure that within each patient, the ordering of insurance start date is ordered correctly, sequentially. Then only we can take the previous record. Otherwise, it will take any other record from the, if it is not ordered properly for the same patient. We don't want to do any record, but exactly previous record we want. So that is why we are using order by also. Same thing we did in arrange called keyword we used in R. So if you can look at it, and sort underscore values was the keyword, we used in Python. So in every language, we are approaching the same way. The logic is same. Syntax might differ. So this is, and the next one is select star from ENR. I'll just make it easy to understand. Select star from, we'll put it down from ENR and order by, order by eligibility pat ID for my eligibility effective date. Now, here I've taken star, but I need to create a new variable called gap. Gap is a new column that I need to, and how will I create? Case when I will give case when the previous end date should not be null. So with the column key, we can select directly from the previous end date is not null. And there's one more condition. And the eligibility effective date, the previous end date should not be null. Then only we can subtract, right? We have to subtract this from, and this. This minus this. In other words, eligibility effective date minus previous end date. In order to do that, we should not have null values in previous end date. So, and eligibility effective date is not null. This is clear. Previous end date is not null, and eligibility effective date is greater than previous end date plus 1. And how we write that? Date add is a function, and what we are adding? Day. And how many we want to? 1 day. And which column? Previous end day. So this, why we are using it? Why plus 1? Why we are adding plus 1 to previous end date? It is because, see, if you are looking at this particular patient, the eligibility ended, the policy for this patient, the eligibility end date was 31st of January. Now the next is 1st of March. Now let's put it as, ordinarily what will happen is, I'll just change it to first of February. Let's make it simple actually. Why we are doing it, I'll explain. So January it ended, February it started, February 1st itself. So there is a gap of 1 day. I won't call it a gap. It's normal. It's not a gap. It's a difference of 1 day, but that is normal. Your car insurance policy or your health insurance policy yesterday ended. It ended yesterday, and today it got renewed. So that's how we do it. There is no, the end date and the start date are not the same. So that is normal. So yesterday it ended, today it started. Don't call it as if there is a gap in insurance. We have complete coverage. So we wouldn't call it as a gap. So this difference of 1 day is expected. But if it is more than 1 day, then only we flag it as 1. And if it is more than 1 day, that is why it's more than means greater than. Then 1 else 0 and s, and I can just put it down. It's not make it readability is improving the readability and s. Yeah. So we can do like this also. So maybe the code VNR has, yeah, I missed to add a bracket here. So we should have a bracket, the closing bracket for this. So we are creating a temporary table here. You can write temp also. Some people use temp. So you can do that as well. So we created a temporary table here and then use that temporary table to create the final result. And it should run now. Data add, previous end day, yes. So the results are visible now. So you see this particular patient has a gap. Same result we got with R in Python as well. So why there's a gap? Because 31st of December it ended and February 10th only he renewed. January 10th, he didn't have insurance till February 19th and no insurance was available. So this patient will be flagged and removed. And Some of you already have a solid clinical SaaS training and understanding of clinical trial data, but the market there is extremely competitive right now. So a lot of people come out of the colleges, a lot of them have completed their internship and still waiting to get a job. So that is the scenario in clinical trials because of the number of candidates are very high. And here, just by adding a SQL language, when I say SQL, it's in SQL Server, not in SaaS platform, not the procs SQL. In proc SQL, there are certain aspects you cannot really do, like partition by over. Its window functions are not applicable. Many of the functions we use in SQL Server cannot be applied in proc SQL. So it's just by adding a little tweak, a little new skill learning will definitely, and the knowledge of real world data, claims data, EHR data, etc., can definitely increase the opportunities in areas like RWE and healthcare data science, which are closely related to clinical trial data also, but often less competitive and crowded, not so saturated. And more in many cases, these roles also come with strong growth and compensation. And at the end of the day, it's not about SaaS or SQL, it's about how we expand our skill set into areas where there is more demand. And that's exactly the direction I focus on in my trainings as well. If you like this video, please subscribe for more real world healthcare data analytics concepts and programming skills. And let me know if in the comments if there is any specific video that you're looking for. And if you liked this video, please like it and subscribe it. Thank you very much.